All stories shared on this podcast are based on true events, but names and details have been altered to protect the privacy of those involved. This content is for entertainment and educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice.
Welcome to Closing Time with the Lone Rangers. I am your co-host, Jonathan Washburn. Today, we've got an exciting episode planned. We've got 4 people on the podcast today. Andrew Rysta, welcome back to the show. Tell us a little bit about who we've got joining with us here on the podcast today.
We've got, I don't know. We've got a nice guy named Brandon. I'm excited to meet him. And then we have this other guy. His name is Nick. I really don't know where we found him or where he came from, but he's here with us, so we're going to ask him some questions, I guess. 2
legends in the mortgage industry as far as I'm concerned. Nick Mastropietro, a guy that I've known since college, a guy that is my current business partner, one of the co-branch managers of the Steadfast Mortgage team here at Washburn Financial. And our real guest of today, Brandon Feikle, one of the branch managers at a really cool branch on the west side of Cleveland of Cardinal Financial Group. Brandon Feikle, welcome to the show today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Dude, Brandon, when we first started this podcast, there were actually 2 people that I really wanted to have on the show. All right. Garrett Silva was one of them. We were able to talk to him last week, and Brandon Feikle was the other person I really, really wanted to talk to. I have so many memories of you. You and I used to work together. I used to work underneath you at a place called Nations Lending back when I first got into mortgages. I have a lot of different memories of you, and I probably am going to talk about several of those here on the show today. But before we get into that, tell us just a little bit about yourself, who you are, what got you into mortgages, and what you're doing here in North Olmsted.
Love to. It's funny. I degree in finance from Bowling Green. I thought I was going to be a financial planner. Came out of college, did an internship during college during the dot-com bubble burst for a financial planner. It was pretty eye-opening. Came back home, started looking for business opportunities, and a couple kids I grew up with, they were flying to Miami and all over the country all the time, and I had to figure out, what do these guys do? And to be honest, I went through a degree in finance, and I didn't know what a mortgage was. So I went and shadowed them, kind of slid into the industry. And one of the first things that I noticed was this has to do with money and people's money and their finances. And no one seemed to have integrity in the industry at all in the early days. And, you know, I went to a high school and had an upbringing that I wanted to make an impact on people. And my high school's motto was Men for Others. And I wanted to be a part of changing the industry, to be honest with you, to be candid. Even in the early days, like the first company I was at, I only stayed at for 6 months because they just seemed to do things without character. And I wanted to find people that did things the right way and made an impact to families. And I'm 21 and a half years later, still doing the same thing. And we now just look and go and find who is underserved communities of people that most lenders don't want to help. And we try to go find ways to get those loans done. And they're pretty complicated and very, very challenging and difficult, but they're incredibly meaningful when we get them done.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you say that. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called Blink, and he has this thing called the Blink test. He talks about this thing called the Blink test, where you're often able to identify somebody within 10 seconds sometimes. A lot of times it's crazy how often you're able to tell a lot about somebody within the first 10 seconds of something. And I'll never actually forget the very first time I met you. You were up in front of a lot of people at Nations Lending, talking to a whole lot of people about a very difficult thing that was going on. And I'll never forget thinking, I don't know who this person that is dressed to the nines is in front of everybody, talking to everybody. But this guy seems different. He is a man of character, and I would love to get to know him better. I had been here for, 3 weeks. I was still taking my class. I wasn't even licensed yet. And there were 80 people in this room standing, all a little bit worried, concerned about stuff that was going on. And you were up there speaking with authority, speaking with compassion in a way that was calming everybody down, but in a way that was very honest. And you know how it is in this industry. There's so many people that are just sleazy, that are just salesman-y, and you were never that way. And I was at that company for a year and a half, and every single time I spoke to you, it was just honesty and compassion, and you had such a teachable spirit. And as someone that had come from the teaching world, I appreciated that so much from you. So I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
I appreciate that. You know, the irony behind that is I've always been an introvert.
Yeah.
And before I got in that role there, I absolutely hated talking in front of groups.
Wow.
I actually dislike cameras, to be really candid with you. I don't ever like to be the center of attention. I like to be the quiet person that goes and makes an impact in a meaningful way without the spotlight being on me. I don't know if it's part of my upbringing or what it is. I like the spotlight to be on other people, but still make such a large impact and do it the right way.
Yeah. Nick, do you remember, I told you the story of the first time I met Brandon Feikle. Do you remember the first or one of the first times you met Brandon Feikle?
Yeah. So, man, I'm super happy to be on this podcast today. My first time on the show, and I'm super happy that it's here with you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to see you.
So what's awesome is I don't know if this was like my first memory of Brandon. There's a couple that stick out. One was when we drafted Johnny Manziel.
Yes.
That's mixed reviews later on. But actually, one of the core memories I have, and I've actually shared this, Andrew, I think I've shared this with you and plenty of other people that work on our team. Something that in a meeting you said that really has kind of shaped the way I do business and the way I try and help our team realize the way we need to do business. And I don't remember maybe necessarily every single detail, but this is kind of how I remember that. We were in a conference room, and there was a whiteboard in the conference room, and you asked everybody there, why do you do what you do? And like everybody gave answers, tons of answers, and they were all great answers. I thought, like, people are like listing off, like, you know, I've got a wife at home, and, you know, these are some of the goals I have. I want to be able to let her not work, or I've got kids at home and I'm doing everything for my family, you know, or, you know, there was just so many good answers. Okay. And I remember you were at the whiteboard and you're writing all these down, and I'm thinking, like, these are great. And I was a single guy at the time, and I had no good reasons, right? Like, I wasn't going to think of it. But what kind of threw me for a loop was he turns around from the whiteboard and he goes, okay, all of these are wrong. and he crossed out every single one of them. And I thought, this guy is a jerk. Like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? These are wrong reasons. These are all fantastic reasons. And he erased everything that was written there. And he drew a big circle on the whiteboard. And he wrote in the middle of the circle, helping others. And he said, see, here's the thing. We shouldn't all have different reasons why we do what we do. We should have one reason why we do what we do. We should be helping others. That should be the reason in which we are doing this business. And then, by the way, outside the circle, helping, you know, provide for my family, and all those other good things were written now on the outside of the circle. And he took, if I recall correctly, took arrows and drew from helping others in the middle of the circle, and drew the arrows all out to those things and said, if you focus on helping others, the other things are going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
If you focus on all the things you want to accomplish, what you want, you know, you're missing the mark there. If you focus on helping others first, all those things that maybe are some of the reasons and why you do what you do, all those things will be a byproduct of that. And I remember when you did that, what a twist, because you went from being what I thought the biggest jerk, telling everybody these reasons are terrible, to what a tremendous way to be looking at this. If I focus on helping others, the more people I can help, the more successful I'm going to be in this industry. And it really, I think a lot of times, like, just that mindset change, that difference is actually the difference in being successful.
I teach it to this day.
Mm.
We have meetings Mondays and Fridays here, and I just talked about it again this week as a reminder. And if you ask my team now, they'll tell you I probably talk about it 5 or 6 times a month. And then there's meetings that I go in depth again because, I came into an industry at a time that there was no licensing and there was no monitoring,
Right.
and I saw people
Jeez.
making a lot of money, but I also watched their success wasn't lasting because it was, how can I fill my pockets, taking advantage of people making a ton of money, doing loans, and it wasn't impactful. And the people that I saw that really they caught my eye were ones that were focused on, listen, I just want to find families that I can make an impact for, and somehow my career will take care of itself. And the more I paid attention to it, the more it happened, and it became ingrained in me of that's how you need to do it. It is a response, and that comes the character side. I had great family. I had a great school that I went to that helped shape my moral character. And so much of that is you're here for a reason, and it may not always make sense, but it's to impact people in a positive way. And when you take that responsibility seriously, everything else will work out. The things that you need in life will be provided. It may not be on the path that you hope for or the path that you think is best, but life will throw at you things that are incredibly challenging. And every time you tackle them in the best way possible and ensuring that your focus is on improving the lives of other people, it works out. It just ends up working out.
I don't think it's ever the path that I've envisioned, right? Like, I think we always have the plans we have, right? It almost never takes that course, right? But a lot of times it's a better course than what we envisioned.
It's more rewarding.
Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Just to riff. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say, I'll tell you that meeting. We had tons of meetings in that conference room.
We did
all kinds of stuff, motivational videos shown every day, and all this stuff. There is literally not one other meeting that I remember except that one. It's the only one, and it means a lot. Very much impacted how we do business, how I do business, but also just so you know, like we run a team here, like. I hope and pray that it's also impacted some of the people that we work with and that are part of our team. And that, like, Andrew is someone here on this podcast that we've had a meaningful conversation about that started from something that you did. I think illustration, like the illustration on the whiteboard, like that helps. That helped me remember it, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's having lasting effects even with people on our team, not me directly who was in that room. That's correct. Not just me directly who's in that room. So
it's good advice I got.
Yeah, just to riff.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to riff off what you're saying, I think in sales, if you watch, like, if you're on social media, I'm a young guy, so, we're all about technology and social media, and you see people selling online. There's so much sales tactics out there of like how you talk, how you psychologically trick someone into like basically having no option, right? And the beautiful thing about our job, if you boil it down, there are people that need help from us. I don't have to force someone to get a home. I don't have to, convince them that, no, you can't afford this monthly payment. All I have to do is go find the people that need me. And if I can find the people that need me, I can do loans. And if I'm not doing as many loans as I want to do, it's not, well, you need to convince more people. Like, you're not very good on the phone, of like, it's just go find more people that need me, Mm-hmm. Instead of, twisting someone's arm, it's like, there's people out there that need me. There's real estate agents out there that need me. There's financial advisors out there that need what I offer. All I have to do is put myself in a position that they see me, and it feels good to help someone rather than like, hey man, I know you don't really need this service, but I'm gonna convince you to buy it anyways.
No, the harvest truly is plenteous. There are so many people out there that are available for us to help. It's funny. I remember another meeting that Brandon gave. There was a guy that had goals. So at one point at that company, we had all written down. There was an exercise It was like, it's something like our why, like, this is my why, this is what we're doing, right? And we had a list of like goals and dreams that we wanted to accomplish that year. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And there was this guy on one of the teams, his name was Chris. He wanted to earn enough money so he could propose to his girlfriend. He wanted to take her to Iceland. He wanted to do a couple things. And this guy, he was a really good loan officer, and he was actually able to accomplish a bunch of those things. And Chris actually took a trip to Iceland with his girlfriend where he was going to propose. And while he was on that trip to Iceland, Brandon, got up and talked about it, right? He talked about it to the whole team. But I remember you even turned that, because I was thinking that you were going to use this as sort of this like, hey, look, here's this list of goals that this guy had, and he put his mind to it and he accomplished it. And all of you have this list of goals on your desk too, and you can do it too. And you turned it and you said, you know how he was able to do this? By helping everybody in front of him. And Chris has a servant's heart. And because he is working for those people, he was able to accomplish those things. And I remember, I knew Chris. Chris wasn't like the greatest salesman on the floor, right? He wasn't like the smoothest talker. He just had a deep concern for people, and he wanted to help people. And you lifted him up, and you were like, this is the example, guys. And yeah, that's
the truth behind it, though.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, some of the best
is.
people in this industry that I've met.
Yeah.
When I met them initially, I thought, you're not a great salesperson, but you're an amazing human.
Yeah.
And over 21 years of being in an industry, you start seeing trends, and sometimes we focus on what's in front of us, and we become narrow-minded, especially in the waves in our industry, because they can be so massive. The scope of time allows you to see what actually works over long periods of time.
Yeah.
And the guys that, and the ladies as well, the ones that actually put themselves out there to help other people, they have careers. It's not just a job for them. They build a career out of it, and their success has longevity to it, because their heart and everything they're putting into it is coming from the right place. And it's rewarding. I mean, look, even on the refinance side, obviously getting someone into a new home is so rewarding. Like, you're helping them start a life or improve their life. It's great. On the refinance side, coming from someone that's, investment, financial planning side, we have to guarantee we're improving their life financially. Back in 2005, 2006, before everything happened in the crash, there's some ugly loans that people could do, and it left you feeling, I don't want to do this loan. And now our reward is, this has a benefit to these people. It has to legally, so I know it does. This is how it's improving their life, and it's turned into a great industry because more people with passion to help others have just started to just venture into it over the years.
Yeah. All right. So switching gears a little bit, I would actually love to sit on that for 20, 30 minutes, but unfortunately not a lot of people are out here interested in like hour and a half long mortgage podcasts. That's okay. Maybe one day. Okay, so we would love for you to share your craziest mortgage story. Okay, so again, this is closing time with the Lone Rangers, and
give him
the
some
gimmick is
give him some of the other ones. Like
tell
him what he's up against.
We've got some pretty crazy stories so far, right? Yeah. So again, the gimmick is we want to protect all names and details, confidentiality of people. So we're gonna change all of the important details like names and places and dates to Wild West, right? So borrowers might be changed to people like Dusty McGraw or Buck Rollins or Colt Abernathy or Jebediah Slade, right? But all of the details, I want you to give us all of the details exactly as you remember them. And don't leave anything out. Don't abridge this for the non-mortgage person that you may have had to tell this story to that started zoning out and doesn't really care, right? We want you to tell everything about this story. Some of the stories that we've been told, that have been told on previous podcasts, we had Garrett Silva, who I believe the mortgage doctor. He actually had to play the love doctor with a couple. They had to get married before they could close a loan. We had a fellow who was told his cash to close was a little more than $100,000, so he brought $100,000 in actual cash to the closing in a trench coat.
No.
I had a
Still makes me laugh.
borrower who was on some FBI list, who had the same name as somebody who was on an FBI list. So when we tried to wire over $300,000 to closing, that wire was intercepted by the Federal Reserve, so we couldn't close on the home for over a week. So these are the types of stories that you might be up against. No pressure, but the floor is yours.
There's
Brandon.
definitely
some pressure.
There's definitely a lot. I don't. So here's the thing, you guys, we're in the same circle of people in some instances. So I don't want to take a couple other people's stories that might have been the LOs on specific ones. So I'll stick to one that's been a little bit more recent for our branch, because some of the ones where we share people we've worked with are absolutely crazy of things that happen. So we specialize in somewhat messier situation loans. We do two areas that are our niche loans. We do manufactured housing, which has a lot to it. You have to have certain timelines they're built. You have to have foundation inspections, and most manufactured homes, when they're built, especially 5-10 years ago, they don't have the right tie downs to keep them under certain codes and safety of what their foundation looks like. And then the flip side, we work with borrowers that have either been recently in bankruptcy or are still in bankruptcy, and we help them use their equity to buy out of their Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And so this specific situation, we have a borrower that is actually both. It is a manufactured homeowner that
hitting all the points here.
That is in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which means we have to deal with a lot of additional parties. We have to deal with the attorney that is representing our borrower, who's the debtor to them. And then we have to deal with the trustee that's basically communicating with the judge and the court, making sure everything's paid back quickly, and is the decision maker if they're going to approve the mortgage to be done. So we have to have a motion to incur debt filed by the attorney, communicate to them, has to submit it into the court. The trustee has to look at it, audit the file, and help decide whether or not it's approved. So we go through that entire process. We go through, the court, and a lot of times it will determine, a mortgage that's in a bankruptcy, nothing's reporting to credit, right? So we don't know pay history. You've got to go get pay history on a mortgage. You got to go pay history on the bankruptcy, make sure it's clean. So we go through all this.
Brandon, real quick, just be careful, because there might be a lot of loan officers out there that are hearing this, and they're going to want to steal your approach here. and work with all these
promise you
loans, right? Andrew, weren't you thinking the same thing?
No one
licking your
wants
chops
to
right
steal
now, aren't you?
these, because I have basically trained myself to be a borderline attorney now at this point over the last 6 years. And the interesting part is we work in 56 different bankruptcy districts, and there is no uniform bankruptcy law among all of them. So it makes it even more complicated. You don't want to learn the laws of every state and every district and every trustee.
I don't even know what Chapter 13 bankruptcy is. It's 11 and 7, right?
13
is there another one?
You're restructuring the debt to make payments every single month. They last between 36 months and 60 months. So it's a lot, right?
It's all you, brother.
Even the sound of it is a lot. So dealing with getting it paid off and dealing with the court system and dealing with the trustees and attorneys adds a complication in itself. So we go through that entire process. We get all the approval by the court. The borrower's on board. The payoff on the bankruptcy comes in, roughly 20 grand higher than expected. Ooh. Just enough equity to get it done, a little bit thicker of a payment for the consumer, but they're done being financially handcuffed in a bankruptcy, because they can't make many decisions on their own about their finances, and some people end up in that situation from very unique circumstances that they couldn't have planned for. So this borrower, let's call him Hank Whitmore.
Hank Whitmore, let's go.
He lives in a state somewhat down south that is what we call an attorney state.
South of the Mississippi?
Yes.
West of the Mississippi.
West of the Mississippi.
East of the Mississippi.
East of the Mississippi. Okay. We'll get you a directional map later today.
Here? Okay.
So it's east of the Mississippi, and it's a state where to close a loan, an attorney has to be the one that's closing the loan when it's closed in that state.
Got it.
So we'll leave that for the finish line. Mm-hmm. Okay. So then we have to get to the manufactured home side of it. An engineer company has to go out and inspect everything. And of course it comes back failing.
Yeah.
So the home needs tie downs put on the home, which, you know, depending on how severe the oversight by the builder of the manufactured home or how old it is, sometimes that's different. That can be up to $7,000 to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And in most
Oh, yeah.
cases, that needs to be a somewhat out-of-pocket expense, which is a lot of fun to figure out how to help someone either pay for $7,000 that they weren't expecting to, or find a contractor that's willing to do it and take the risk on the lender that they're.
You can definitely close this loan.
Yeah, we can
for
close it.
somebody
So
that-
we
for
had to
Hank
give
that's in a bankruptcy
assurances
right
that we're going to close this loan. We already have the court approval, so it works out. And, you know, you try to get a loan closed in 30 days, 40 days. When it's more complicated and sometimes with the bankruptcy court, it can be 60 days. We go through this. The borrower does everything under the sun. Just a complete mess. It's a lot of work to put in. We get the loan, final proof, clear to close. And in the refinance world, there's a certain day of the month, the end of the month, that you have to close. Otherwise, it rolls over to the next month of closing.
Right.
Now, sometimes it's not a big deal. When you're dealing with bankruptcy courts and their payoffs, they have a timeline of when the payoff is good through. So you have to have it closed by a certain timeline in most cases. So the last day to close, we have it scheduled a day in advance. The attorney's ready to go. Evening closing at 7:00. Attorney starts letting us know, I need docs by 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Why? Closing's not till 7. Yeah, I need it. Okay, we put every rush in that you could do. Okay. Title company works with us. They do an amazing job. We send the title company plenty of business every month. They know our deals. They know everything needs to be done. They get it out by like 11:00. Attorney stops responding to everybody.
At 11 o'clock it was sent. Just an
11
hour
in the
later.
morning. Yeah, an hour later.
8 hours.
So,
8 hours before
title
signing.
companies, no, we got this. Don't worry. We're going to find another one and we're going to track it down. It's okay.
We good.
It's from the coffee maker. It's good.
That's what the attorney was thinking right there.
He was thinking throw some stuff around. So we're relying on the title company because they are normally reliable. And they couldn't find anyone. They couldn't find another attorney to go do it. And they start giving us a heads up about 4:00, 5:00. We don't know if we can find anyone. And then it's a situation where these people need this loan. They have other things, circumstances in life that they need to pay off the bankruptcy, and they were going to end up with a little bit more cash for some health circumstances that really needed to be addressed, and we're on a timeline.
Had you told Hank, don't make this month's mortgage payment since we're going to close this month?
We don't really say that. We always say hold on to it.
Hold on to it.
Make sure your ability to make it is in your hands. And I know you really want to skip the extra month, but keep it handy. So yes, that was also in play.
Okay.
So we start making phone calls. We had this suggestion. Now these people are 2 hours from the border.
This is still about 3 hours before their closing is supposed to happen. At this point,
a couple hours before we're starting. We need to start brainstorming. Okay. Are there other options at play here? Right? Yeah. Is there anything else we can do? So we start calling around, and we got the suggestion from our compliance team that, well, if they drive to another state that's not an attorney state, they can use a notary, and they don't have to use the attorney. Okay. Didn't know that was a thing. So we called the title company. Hey, we got this suggestion. Can we do this? Let's check our team to make sure it's a thing. But we might have this other attorney that's going to step in. Oh, great. We might not need to do that. So during this time, we're communicating with the bar. We're like, just to give you a heads up, the attorney no-showed, backed out. We can't get in touch with them. They might come around. Sometimes these people get stuck in closings all day. If they come back around, we're in good shape. But you might have to drive 2 hours across the border. We don't want to do that. I don't want to make you do that.
Right.
So the clock just starts ticking. When you're hoping to hear from someone, a notary, an attorney, someone, and you're staring at the clock and nothing's happening.
It's like,
know those feelings. Everyone's been there in our industry that's been in it long enough.
Yes.
Is this person ever going to show up, or did they just ghost me?
Right.
Yeah.
So real quick, let me interject here for a second, Brandon. So in this scenario, like the attorney, they're handling all the title work in this scenario. But now you would be, if they go to North Carolina, like it's still that attorney handling the closing, but if they're in North Carolina,
see a lot of
the notary actually closing the deal doesn't have to be an attorney then.
Correct.
So even though the property might be in a different state out west,
Yes.
you can go to another state that's not an attorney state.
Yes.
And we just don't matter.
Yes.
Notary state.
Yes.
That's unreal.
It's unbelievable.
See, this is why when I first got in the mortgage industry, ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Feikle, I sat right across the table from Brandon Feikle. Okay. And I asked him, I said, Brandon, you are successful in this industry. What is one thing I can do to be successful in this industry? And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, you should read the mortgage guidelines every morning. And I'm like, are you
Nobody
serious?
knows them.
Like that 1,800-page document that like nobody reads, I should read that every morning. He's like, yes, I do it. That's what you should do. And I started doing that. And I learned today.
When we got here today, he was reading the guidelines as we walked in.
Dude, I learned today. You can literally just like cross a state line and just, nope, not an attorney state anymore.
Yep.
That's wild.
It's wild.
So once
I
again,
I live for
makes
this. This is good.
I mean, it makes a little bit of sense. Like the attorney's still handling the closing, like as far as the documentation, they've done the title work, but now you just don't need that person at the closing table.
Well, nowadays it's a team.
Right.
So it's an attorney that's doing all the legal paperwork, right?
Sure.
But it's not the king of the castle that's doing it's normally an attorney that has probably just come out of law school and they're paying a small amount to do their closing for them.
Sure.
And
that makes sense.
They may not be as reliable, maybe because compensation might not be as great for those individuals for that. For them, maybe a menial task. Law school to close mortgage loans, I don't know.
And Andrew has some experience with this. He actually lives in South Carolina, which is a attorney state. So you deal with attorneys all the time, and not every attorney is the same. Yeah. Right.
I had one that we have a really big attorney in our state. No names. They do a lot of new construction, and we were in the same boat as you. Different, like we just needed them to fund the loan, and they had funding approval at 9 a.m. Because it's a wet fund state. And I was driving to a basketball game at 4:50, and the real estate agent calls me, and he's like, hey, man, they're all just looking at me. We have to fund this loan. Everything is signed, but they said they don't have funding approval, and they're all about to leave on a Friday. And this was the end of the month. It was the 30th, and it was like, we're not – yeah, it was going to be – it wasn't going to kill it, but it was going to be really bad if we didn't close. So I've had my fair share of bad attorneys. I will tell you, if you need an attorney in South Carolina, my friends at Soleil Law Firm, shout out, shameless plug. They will answer your call at 11 on a Friday night and get you docs for signing on Monday. So
they actually even starred in your story, right, Andrew? Your story of your client
that went to prison.
Yes, my client that went to prison. They told me. Out. Yeah, they did. There's some real ones.
So we cut off Brandon a little bit before his story was finished. I'm sorry. We were just like so excited to learn this new detail. Okay, so you're telling your client you might actually have to drive across the border, and now you're like waiting, and continue. I'm sorry.
So the client also had to go pick up their child from the night sport practice.
Of course.
So that added a wrinkle because it got to the point where, okay, this is what's going to have to happen. Like, we don't want to make this call, but we know you need this loan. It's very time sensitive. Trust me, if we could close tomorrow, we would, but it needs to close tonight. So then we started getting on maps. Where is the closest populated area they can drive to that's closest to the border, which was 2 hours away? Start organizing with the notary to get there. Had to wait for them to go pick up the daughter from practice, and then go and drive out there. So they ended up meeting at about
hog tying practice, right?
Yeah, it was. It was basketball practice. It was right after the rodeo. The poor daughter coming out of practice to go, hey, we're getting in a car to drive another 2 hours, sign documents. Must have been very fulfilling. But they met.
How did you get the docs there?
The title company worked it out with the notary. The notary received them in North Carolina from the title company, printed them off, and then drove them out to one of the nice highway stoppage points where there's a small restaurant inside where they could meet and sign the documents.
Nice.
It's my understanding it ended about 10:30
Oh my
and
word.
plenty of time before the
my
midnight
word.
deadline. And it ended up getting funded and paid off the bankruptcy. And needless to say, after the fact, the reviews that came back from the family were very meaningful. Dealing with
Yeah.
knowing the guidelines and reading it so you can do the extra difficult loans. Some of them can be so challenging to go through. The end stories from some of these families is unbelievable. They can be life
You
changing.
change your life.
Change your life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you asked me 10 years ago about someone in bankruptcy, I would have thought, yep, irresponsible person. Didn't know how to manage their money, ran up too much credit card debt, and you would be blown away the amount of people that end up in bankruptcy from a spouse dying or
Things out of
medical
their control.
situations and something completely outside their control. So when we have to go through these absolutely challenging scenarios and go, how do we get a loan like this closed on this timeline? You just learn to figure it out.
This really just goes to kind of the conversation we had at the beginning that we weren't really planning on having, and that is, when you focus on helping others, right? Like this wasn't just something that like he said. Brandon's actually living it, right? With the types of loans he does. If you're a loan officer out there, you know what we're talking about here. If you're not a loan officer and you're listening to this podcast because you want to just hear some crazy real estate stories, okay? The types of loans he's described, the things that he described that he had to do to get this deal to the finish line, these are outrageous things. Okay. Like
for
all
sure.
these things you're talking about, like you're working with their attorney, you're working with a trustee, you're getting approval from the courts and all this stuff. And it's like, just so you know, if you're not a loan officer out there, you're not a real estate agent out there, maybe you don't know this, like on my loan, like I don't deal with those things ever. Right? Like,
no,
but he has decided to help a specific clientele that needs his help, manufactured home, those right out of bankruptcy or in bankruptcy currently. Like he's walking the walk here, and the work that he's doing is not easy at all.
No.
And so it's really admirable.
But it is meaningful.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, and this will help us transition sort of into our last part that I like to talk to each of our guests on. So, and I kind of want to piggyback on what Nick just said. There are so many loan officers that will just quite frankly hang up the phone on the types of borrowers that Brandon and his team over here at Cardinal Financial Group are talking to. I actually remember when I first got in the industry, there was like the legend of this guy that had previously worked at Nations Lending and had told somebody on the phone, you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice than ever getting a loan.
Yeah.
And this was like this hilarious joke
ridiculous
on the sales floor
we were both
about this guy that told off a borrower with bad credit. And there are loan officers that will do this and will treat borrowers this way. And like, I don't have the time to talk to somebody like you.
or think it's funny.
Right. They think it's funny.
They hear that story and think it's funny.
Right. But, Brandon's team over here at Cardinal, they change lives every day. And they do meaningful work for people that are in really tough situations. And I'm sure that, the letters that you get and the emails that you get, I mean, that's what makes it worth coming into work. And so tell us, like, if people are out here, they're listening to this podcast and like, man, I want to do work with Brandon and his team. How can they reach out to you? What's the best way that they can get in contact with you?
There's a couple ways. They can email me. They can email our team. We have a branch page that's bklend.com. So like bankruptcy, bklend.com, that we have up and running that we have people that come in through there and communicate because a lot of them they don't know where to go. That's, hearing you talk about it's part of getting me out there to find the people that need me. That's sometimes the biggest challenge in our industry is, especially, when you mean well, when you're one of the people doing the right thing and you don't have the budget that some of these massive organizations have to spend and get their name out, sometimes it's tough to get the name out and connect with the right people in areas that you specialize in. So we've tried to take some meaningful ways to do that. Families, especially in bankruptcy, I put my cell phone out there. I literally do, because, you two personally know a little bit about my story. I'll share a little bit. I was a person that started to understand how families end up in bankruptcy a couple years ago. I ended up getting very dizzy just randomly out of the blue, and went through a lot of medical testing. Ended up having brain tumors very unexpectedly. Very healthy guy. I've always eaten well, always worked out well, take care of myself, and it led to very serious brain surgery. That basically I couldn't work for 4 to 5 months. Ended up losing my job after that. To go from a normal life to one that was flipped upside down, completely out of your control, tested our family financially in every way possible. It honestly helped me connect with some of these families so much more, and gave me such a deeper passion, because it's one thing to actually hear stories and want to help and understand them conceptually, but then to actually go through it, it changes who you are. It makes you want to go and say, these are families that face something they never thought they would. I want to be the person that helps pull them back from that cliff and helps give them some financial stability again. So our team really specializes in that, and we've really found a meaningful place in the bankruptcy side. The manufactured home side too. There's a lot of our industry that does not understand manufactured homes very well at all. They've tried to dip into that segment of the industry a lot over the last couple of years because, rates went higher, loans became more difficult to do, and a lot of other lenders like, well, maybe we should try this. I mean, our team has specialized in it for a long time now, and we live and breathe this stuff at a level that's deep, and studying guidelines and reading law material and finding ways to legally work the system to help borrowers get their loans closed when it's not easy to do it. And we take a lot of pride in that. Our team here at Cardinal Financial in Northeast Ohio is just, it's one I'm proud of. I really try to circle myself with people that meaningfully go out and do business the right way and look to help families, and our team definitely does that. I mean, there's obviously guys like you guys at other places that do it also. I think we're a very blessed group. Even seeing Garrett last week, we've been really, really fortunate to come across a lot of people that are just great humans that just go to such high levels to help people. And I think it's just important to get names and faces out there like Circle like this. This has been meaningful to me because I see you guys, and I remember when you first got in, like, these are just amazing humans. You guys have a counterpart, David Gray, that's in your circle as well. He's also, I describe him to our team now. He's one of the main guys I look at, like, wasn't great at sales up front, but he was one of the best humans I've ever met. And then you look at his success now, and it's, why has he had that success? Because all he cared about was making people's lives better. And over time, his career and his professional connections have flourished because he's such a great human. And that's the meaningful part of our industry, is you can kind of circle in just great people, and you can kind of push out the ones that aren't, because we still see that. There's still some out there that you don't want the consumers dealing with. So it's even more meaningful to get yourselves out there so people can find the good connections so they don't have to deal with the bad ones.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sitting here today.
For sure.
When I found out you were on this podcast. Seriously.
Thank you.
I'm just super excited to have you here. And
I hear you drove from the great state of Michigan. It's a wonderful place up there.
Guys, don't let this.
Nick, when are you getting on the podcast sharing your story?
I don't know. I'm a little bit rattled by Brandon here. Yeah, hopefully soon. We've had obviously just some fantastic guests.
This is going to be tough to follow.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough to follow.
I'll put me on the schedule, but maybe not next, because I don't want to follow.
I had to follow Garrett.
Yeah,
I mean, Garrett Silva is one of the best salesperson in most. I mean, that guy has so much energy, and he at his core is just an amazing guy. Following him made me very nervous because he's just the guy that you just love to be around, and he's another huge impact in this industry in such a positive way. Him and his whole team.
Sure.
That whole team over there is just great people that know how to do business well.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate you guys.
Your influence, not just on me and Nick, it stretches very far.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It has impacted how we run our team. Your the way you taught me has impacted the way that I'm teaching Andrew. It's going to impact the way that he teaches people that work for him someday. And so we're so happy that we could have you on the podcast. Andrew, is the song
Hit
ready?
me.
Is
No.
the song ready?
What
I've been
song-
hearing a
wait,
lot about this
What
song.
song?
What is the song?
Closing
What are you
Time.
talking about?
Okay.
So we rewrote Closing Time.
You rewrote it.
Yeah, Closing Time by
Who's we?
Semisonic.
You got a
Yeah.
frog in your pocket?
Yeah, but we rewrote it. It's about mortgages now.
Okay.
So it's I know who I want to fund this loan. But and Andrew has a beautiful singing voice, and
Yeah.
he's gonna sing it on the podcast one of these days.
I
but
can't
he's
wait.
still
It's
a
like a
little
dove
bit.
that has
he-
descended from heaven.
He's still a little bit
Just-
nervous. So
Yeah.
maybe next week.
I haven't gotten enough practice in. I just need
Okay.
I need a few more.
You sent me that video of you practicing, and I thought
Yeah.
this week was really going to be the week. Maybe next time.
Yeah, man, I'm a little sick right now, you know.
Okay.
I
I understand. Allergy season,
yeah.
all that.
Got something in
Understand.
my throat.
Next
yeah.
one for sure, though.
Next one for sure. Actually,
On
Nick
Nick's podcast.
sang,
Yeah.
There we
Nick
go.
sang at my wedding. I don't know if you guys know this, but Nick actually genuinely does have a tremendous
This is-
singing voice.
This is news to me.
I'll send you the lyrics.
Well, we
if
could-
You would like to sing it.
we
when
could
you
duet
come
it.
on the show.
I
next.
vote to support
Yes.
that
All right,
decision.
hold on. As you guys know, I was at a Cleveland baseball game yesterday where our team defeated the
That's
Detroit
right.
Tigers
Yes, we
and
did.
took over first place
Yes.
Yes,
in the
we did.
division. My throat is really kind of
Okay.
bothering me now, and when it happens, it lingers for a while. So I don't know if I'll be able
Okay, understood.
I think
You
you
know.
used the voice in the right place yesterday.
to. Right.
But you'll be good because we'll be, you know, you don't want to follow Brandon, so that's at least
Sure.
a month out. And so
you know what? I
you'll
think
be
I think I can follow Brandon now.
fine.
All right. Well, everybody,
Oh,
thank
good.
you so much for joining Closing Time with the Lone Rangers, where the only thing crazier than the stories are the loans that we work on. Thanks again. You have been wonderful.